Sup you guys, I'm Looney. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be talking about all the books I read in the month of May. I managed to read 5 books this month. Little disclaimer, I don't have any specific ways to rate books, so it's entirely on vibes. You might not like the books I read, and I might not like the books you read, so keep that in mind. Anyways, the first book I read this month was The Bad Beginning by Lemony Snicket from the book series A Series of Unfortunate Events. This is definitely a reread. I read this book so many times as a child and as a teenager because I felt a slight book slump around the corner, and I thought it'd be fun to reread the books because I had written a paper about the Netflix series, comparing it to the books for school. And it's one of my very favorite books from childhood, so whenever I feel a book slump around the corner, I'll read it. I'll read the books from the series to keep myself motivated. Anyways, if you don't know the books, A Series of Unfortunate Events follows the 3 Baudelaire children who are navigating losing their parents while being chased by a man named Count Olaf, who's trying to get his hands on their fortune. The plot is always so easy to digest, and one thing you'll find out if you haven't read the series is the series, it's holding up, it's held up to its name real bad, and this book is just the very first book out of the series, so it basically describes what happened almost immediately after the Baudelaire children lost their parents. I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. Not a 5 because, you know, there are specific aspects of the story that, like, reading now as an adult, that do annoy me quite a bit. Like the idea that no adult is ever listening to these kids. It is extremely frustrating to read now that I'm an adult. And I could definitely relate as a kid to not having your parents listen to you, even though you're telling them something very clearly. The second book I read this month, and every other book I read this month, are from the Cleo Fox series. So the second book I read was Murder at the Debutante Ball, which is the 6th book out of the series, or the 5th book out of the series. And this book, it's debutante season, and there's a lot of gossip swirling around. Actually, before the night season, a very wealthy man gets murdered, and he gets found in the library. And as Cleo is trying to discover, like, what this man, like, why anyone would have the means to kill this man, she discovers a whole bunch of lies. Again, this was a very easy read for me. I really do like this series quite a bit. I didn't really have much to say about it, but I give it a cool 3.5 out of 5 stars. The second book, like, for the rest of the month, I was on a roll. I read every other book, like the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th book of the series: Murder at Crown and Anchor, Murder at the Polo Club, and Murder at the Dinner Party. So I'll talk about all these books separately, and then I'll give you the ratings at the same time. The premise of Murder at the Crown is one of the regulars, who was a self-made businessman of her uncle's hotel, whose body was found in a tavern that are near the docks. And originally the police rule his death as self-inflicted, but upon Cleo doing more investigation and sleuthing around, she finds out that there's evidence of foul play. So she sets off with Harry to figure it out, and her mystery ended up overlapping with Harry's separate investigation, so they end up working together. This was another enjoyable read. Again, it's always nice to see Cleo and Harry interact and get closer. The premise of Murder at the Polo Club was the captain of a polo team was found in the stables, dead, and he was found with his rival holding the weapon, but Cleo felt as though something wasn't right because she saw, like, the crime scene, and she felt as though the accused man was innocent. So she teams up with Harry to uncover who really committed this crime. This was another, I would say this book was my favorite one out of the series so far. I think it's also because this book takes place in the summer, and I had some nice time reading it while the weather was warm. I like reading outside when it's warm. I really did like every part of the story. There were enough plot twists and it wasn't too redundant. And finally, the premise of murder at the dinner party. Cleo is called to investigate the death of a butler. The police rule it as natural causes, but this butler is too young for it to have been natural causes. So the housekeeper suspects that this man was possibly poisoned. Cleo and Harry again work together to figure out the hidden secrets as to why this man would have been killed. And this is another one of my favorite ones out of this series because the plot twist defo caught me off guard. And other than that, I don't really have much to say. How I rated these books was I gave Murder at Crown and Anchor 3.5 out of 5. Murder at the Polo Club, I was between 3.75 and a 4. And Murder at the Dinner Party was a 4.25. And that is everything I read in the month of May. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you like it. Let me know if you read any of these books yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.